Hi, hello. So as you've seen from my thumbnail, I did a thing. I'm going to explain myself. I'm probably going to shift full responsibility to somebody else because I can't take responsibility for my own actions. Okay, that's just not what 42-year-old women do. But let me tell you all about it while I'm doing my makeup because I am actually going to be in the office today. This week I'm taking it a bit easier working from home, but today I actually have to be in the at the lab. I'm going to take the Inglot eyeshadow keeper to start off my look with. So, starting from the beginning, as a lot of you will know, I've got a bit of a rocky relationship with the YSL clutch quads. I bought one in the summer of 2023, recently after they had come out and they were all the rage, everyone was in love with them, and I picked the shade Caspa Spices, which for the longest time I was calling Casaba Spices, and it took a few of you actually pointing out that it's spelled and pronounced differently than what I thought. Sometimes my brain just like makes up things and then it just doesn't see the actual word. Anyway, Caspa Spices was one of those instances where I was convinced that it's called Caspa Spices. Anyway, teeny tiny mistake. So I demoed Caspa Spices on camera and I didn't really hate the quad, but I also can't say that I was in love with it. I thought the formula was okay, and because I had just tried the Lancome Quint formula, which is a formula that I absolutely adore, I ended up not really feeling like the YSL clutch formula really is my favorite. Taking the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. So then I tried using it a few more times, and every time I was like, it's just not for me. I find the mattes to be a little bit too powdery. Like, the effect on the lids is very nice, but I just found the powders to be, like the matte eyeshadows in particular, to be a little bit too powdery. And to be honest with you, I also think I picked the wrong color story, because Caspa Spices has a shade that is completely utterly pointless to me. It's like this cream, like exactly the color of my foundation actually. It was this cream colored matte eyeshadow that literally only serves as a like brow bone highlight or maybe like an inner corner highlight. So not really all that exciting. Then the really sparkly shade was just not as sparkly and as impactful as I had anticipated, because there is another quad in the original line, the one with the taupe color story that everyone loves so much that now I'm blanking on the name of that quad. Okay, I can't remember the name of the quad, but anyway, it's the taupe one that everyone was freaking out about. I didn't buy that quad because at the time I thought, well, that reminds me way too much of Soft Cashmere by Dior, and I don't really need to have two Soft Cashmere, you know, palettes in my collection. So I bought a color story that I thought was maybe a little bit more different. In the end though, I do think that was just the wrong color story for me, because the combination of the colors together with the textures that were not quite what I wanted made me feel like I will own this quad, but I will only ever use it when I feel really guilty that I haven't touched it in a few months. Taking Chanel Sublimage in the shade 20 for my concealer, and to be honest with you, I don't tend to like hold on to things like this that I'm never going to use. If I truly feel deep down that something is still in a condition where I can either sell it or pass it on to someone, I will do that. So with Caspa Spices, I was fairly quick to realize that that quad is just not going to get a lot of use in my collection, so I decided to sell it. I sold it for a fairly low price to actually someone who follows my channel. Unfortunately, it broke in transit, but the person who bought it was able to just salvage the eyeshadows by pressing them back into the pans, because they are, you know, a fairly malleable formula. So luckily in the end, everything was fine, because I think the quad hopefully went to the home of someone who enjoys it a lot more than I would have. So then I was living my best life for a year thinking YSL quads are just not for me, at least one line of products that I have no interest in. And then I watched a video from our beloved enabler Alicia Archer. I'm going to now make her take full responsibility for this. So she's been on a YSL clutch quad kick, and she has fallen head over heels with the formula of these YSL quads. And I was like, okay, you know, tastes differ, maybe she just, you know, enjoys this formula more than I do. But then a couple of weeks ago, I think around the Black Friday sales, she demoed the quad that I ultimately ended up purchasing, which is one of the newer permanent line quads. It's the shade Over Brun, and she demoed it, and I couldn't stop thinking about the look. Especially she did like this like brown smoky look, and then she put the sparkly shade over top, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So then I started looking up, you know, other reviews of the quads. I of course watched Stephanie's reviews of the YSL quads, because Stephanie, my dear Stephanie from the Style Stumbler, and I'm going to plug in here a little shout out for her channel, and I'm going to link that in the description box below. If you haven't found Stephanie's channel yet, if you haven't stumbled upon her channel yet, then I highly recommend you do, because she is just such a delight. I have absolutely fallen in love with her channel. She's exactly the type of content that I love. I'm not going to give away too many spoilers about her content. I'm just going to say go watch her videos, because you're going to fall in love. Anyway, I also watched Stephanie's videos, and I sort of, you know, the thought of obtaining Over Brun settled into my brain. Then I put it in my cart on from one of the local like makeup shops here, and I even contemplated getting it when they had a 30% off sale during Black Friday. But then I kept going back and forth, I missed the Black Friday moment, and then the quad went back to its original price, which, let me tell you, in the Netherlands is like really steep. These things cost 75 euros a pop, really expensive. So I thought, okay, maybe at some point when I can find it on a really good sale again, I will consider it. Oh, how rude of me, I completely forgot to tell you what powder I used. I took Dim Light from Hourglass, because I have to tell you, I'm absolutely loving the combination of the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation together with this powder. It just somehow makes my skin look really smooth, and it has a little bit of like that beautiful like natural glow to it. Absolutely loving it, and the best part, it actually stays really well on my face. Anyway, I'm going to do my brows with the 24 brow setter from Benefit. I actually don't think there's that much product left in here, but I'm going to exhaust every last bit before I go back to my beloved laminating brow wax from Too Faced. And the other thing I decided was that perhaps this time, instead of ordering a color story blindly, I'm going to go into store to swatch it, because we do have YSL here on this place, and I was pretty certain that I've seen these like 3 new quads that released over the summer displayed in stores here. So on Sunday I was in town, and I was having a bit of a stressful time for, you know, reasons, and I decided to pop into one of the stores, because I knew they were having a 25% off sale, and I had an additional voucher. So I thought, now is my moment, you know, I can like kill many birds with one stone. I can, you know, cure a little bit of the stress by buying myself some makeup. I can buy it still, you know, with a fairly good percentage off the price, and I can swatch it in store. So then I went to swatch it in store, and I almost instantaneously knew that I'm going to go home with this quad, because I thought if I'm going to give a second chance to this formula, it will be with this specific color story. It's a very beautiful neutral color story, but I love the undertones. I will show you the quad in a little bit and we can swatch it, just in case you haven't seen it yet, but it is truly a beautiful color story. For my face powders today, I'm going to take the Hourglass Eagle Eye palette, and I'm first going to take the bronzer here. And I did purchase the quad for 50 euros in the end, so I thought it was a pretty good deal. I didn't really dare to buy it secondhand because of my own experience of like shipping this quad. They're quite fragile. I figured it's just not worth it, and 50 euros was a pretty good, you know, discount for me to consider this. By the way, now I'm going to do a little thing that I've been thinking about since I purchased this palette, basically. But since a lot of you have been having issues with this shade here, the shade Oasis Glow, I've been thinking what happens if we mix the bronzer shade with Oasis Glow. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix the two a little bit. I'm going to put more of Oasis Glow than I am from the bronzer, because I don't want to like put bronzer on my face. I just want to give a bit more body to Oasis Glow. Now, I don't really know whether the bronzer is really doing much, but I am enjoying the effect. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it looks really pretty. And I think you can definitely play around with the intensity of the shade depending on the ratio of the two colors that you put together. Maybe you put a bit more from the bronzer and then just like a light layer of Oasis Glow if Oasis Glow is giving you too much trouble with the texture. Now I'm also going to make a little mixy mix here of the finishing powder and the highlight powder, just to lighten the tone of the highlight powder. The highlighter is just absolutely beautiful. I love the tone of the highlighter in this palette. So there we go. So that's my little story with how I decided to give a second chance to the YSL Clutch Quad formula. And you know, everyone loves these eyeshadows. Literally everyone I've seen on the internet is head over heels with these palettes, and I just so want to be on board. I really hope that Over Brun is the one that gets me, you know, over the bridge. I'm just trying to sound smart here, but I don't think that worked out. If anyone knows what the saying that I'm trying to come up with is, please let me know. Over the what? Anyway, completely irrelevant to the topic at hand. So I'm going to quickly set everything with a little bit of Fix Plus, and then we're going to do a bit of swatching and an eye look with Over Brun. So here is my new YSL Couture Clutch Quad in the shade Over Brun. I'm going to quickly remove the two brushes that come in here. The first thing that I did when I opened this quad is I did this just to make sure that the insert doesn't fall out, because when I bought Caspa Spices, that's the first thing that happened. I opened the quad and the little insert just like flooped out of it. Luckily I was in the vicinity of the bed, so it just flooped out on the bed and nothing broke. But yeah, some of these are not very well glued in here, so if you buy a new one, just like quickly check whether it's well attached to the inner portion. Oh gosh, looking at that sparkly shade right now, I'm forming little drools in my mouth, because the thing is, so here is the color story of Over Brun. And I don't know whether you will be able to see a little bit of the sparklies in this shade in particular, but I would describe this color story as neutral brown with a slightly sandy undertone. And the thing is, this sparkly shade, at least in store and now also in the lighting here, doesn't look like a simple peachy, you know, sparkly shade. There were blue sparkles in that shade, and I really hope that you're going to be able to see the blue sparkles. Let me give a quick swatch to this eyeshadow palette for you. And I also really liked the tone of like the satin metallic shade. It has that gorgeous like bronzy, slightly greenish, sandy tinge to it, and I love me a little brown with that undertone. So let me give you a few quick swatches here of Over Brun. Oh, that shade looks so pretty. That shade looks so much prettier than the one in Caspa Spices. And finally, the sandy satin shade. Let me see. So I'm going to shift my hand here in the light, and then hopefully you're going to be able to catch a bit of those blue sparkles. You know what? I'm going to see if artificial lighting does something for us. In fact, there is no daylight right now. I'm hoping that you're able to see a little bit of those blue sparkles in the metallic, in the glittery shade. Okay, I'm back. I've decided that for demonstration purposes, we're going to do, you know, a somewhat more boring look in a sense. So I'm going to not be using this shade as like a lid smoky shade. I'm going to try that another time. So today we're just going to go for the boring look, where I'm going to put this one in my crease, this one in the outer corner slash like lash line region here. I'm going to put this one on my lids, and I'm going to top it off with the topper shade. So, you know, the boring look. Alright, starting off with that sandy brown shade, which is translating on the lid exactly as it looks in the pen. There's like a very strong yellow undertone to this shade. I do really like the effect that they have on the lids. They have that beautiful like filtering, smoothing effect, so I have to give them that. In other news, I watched Wicked for the second time yesterday, and it was just as epic as the first time. I cried. Actually, I cried twice. The first time I only cried in the ballroom scene, and yesterday I also shed a few tears during Defying Gravity. However, let me tell you, I am freaking ready to see like a karaoke version of this movie, because I've been to the theater now twice where, you know, nobody sings along with the songs, which is weird to me. And yesterday I was with a few people who also know the lyrics, and I know all three of us were having such a hard time not singing along. So I'm telling you, I am ready for the sing-along version. And probably what's going to happen is that as soon as it releases on the platforms, I'm going to invite my friends over who also know the lyrics to some of the songs, or like, well, not most of the songs. I don't know the lyrics to most of the songs. To some of the songs, and we're going to like belt our lungs out. to the horror of my neighbors. Alright, I'm going to take a little pencil brush. So it's going to be a sing-along version, not a karaoke version, just to clarify, because Ariana and Cynthia still have to hit them high notes. So, unlike the other quad that I bought, where I feel like two of the shades were matte and one was like this satin finish that leaned a little bit more on the matte side, here you actually only have one matte eyeshadow, because the dark brown is in fact not matte. There is pearl in here, which is also something that I like about this quad, that there's only one matte shade. Don't get me wrong, matte shades are very handy, I don't mind having them, but in such a small curation, I would rather have more, you know, satiny, shimmery options. And I just really like a shade like this in a slightly more satin finish rather than matte. This is beautiful. Next I'm going to take the beautiful sandy metallic shade. This shade is more like a satin, but it's a slightly more impactful satin, I feel like, than the one that I had in Caspo Spices. There is a really beautiful sheen to this shade, even though it is not a straight up metallic. That's also a really beautiful undertone. It's like a sandy gold. Oh, that's really pretty. I really like that. Oh, I love that. And I haven't even put on the sparkly shade yet, and I'm already super excited. Okay, I'm actually going to take the pencil brush and dip a little bit between the dark brown and the sandy matte shade to bring here on my lower lashes, just to complete the look a little bit before we go in with the sparkle shade. And I really like it because this color story really allows you for quite a few different combinations. You can do like a soft, like sandy gold look if you just stick to these two shades. You can do a smoky look with something very sparkly on top if you just stick to these two shades, or you can use these two together. I feel like this color story just offers you so many possibilities to go in quite a few different directions with your look, and I love that about a small curation like that. Okay, then I'm going to take this Kiko eyeshadow stick, which is just in a beige color, to apply here in my inner corners, because I've found out that when I apply this as a base, even if my eyeshadow disappears, I still have an inner corner highlight, because I poke around the inner corner of my eyes a lot throughout the day, and a lot of the times by lunchtime my inner corner is gone. And I find that this trick not only helps the eyeshadows to stay, but even if they're gone, you can still see that I have a bit of an inner corner highlight here, because these are very long lasting. And now the real magic is going to happen. I can't wait. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove the sparkly shade in my inner corners, and then I'm going to apply it just with my finger. No, I'm going to use the brush because I want like a veil. I don't want it to overtake the sandy color. But first I'm going to put it here in my inner corners, because I think it is the only shade I can use as an inner corner highlight here. It's a bit dark for my personal, you know, coloring to be a very bright inner corner. Maybe in the future I'll pull out something else to do as an inner corner highlight. But it is not the worst. I've put darker things in my inner corners that really don't work. This one is not too bad. Now I'm going to take the brush, load it with a couple of sparkles, and I'm going to take it over the metallic shade, the satiny golden sandy shade, and I'm just going to apply a bit of those sparkly, you know, flakes over top. Oh, that's pretty. I love that. And I think you can really amp up this shade if you apply it with your fingers or over a glitter glue, but that's not the effect that I'm going for today. That's why I'm keeping it a bit more subtle. I'm going to give everything a nice blend. I've been forgetting sparkle moment a lot lately, so let me do a little sparkle moment here so that we can enjoy this beautiful sparkly shade from over Brun. Can you see any of the blue sparkles? I really hope they're coming across on camera. That shade is so dimensional. I love it. So this is the final look. I've been a little bit on a Velvet Enchantment kick from Lisa Eldridge, especially now that I've, you know, gotten into my winter wardrobe, which contains a lot of these like olive color dresses and sweaters, and Enchantment is just so perfect with them. And I chose for Enchantment today as well. The Enchantment goes also really well, I think, with the tones of the Brun eyeshadow palette, so overall I'm very happy with this look. I think it is fair to say that the second chance has been given and YSL has completely 100% redeemed themselves. This color story is so pretty. I absolutely love it. I love this so much more than I did Caspa Spices in every single way. I love the undertones, I love the variety of textures and finishes in here. I think the sparkly shade this time truly is an impactful shade. I love the undertone of the matte. I love these two shades. I love what a variety of looks I think you can achieve with this palette. So I'm happy to say that I've boarded back the YSL Couture Clutch train, which honestly isn't necessarily good news because at least I was not interested in purchasing those thus far, and now I'm back on, you know, being interested in purchasing them, which is not necessarily the best thing. Anyway, do let me know what you thought about this look. Have you purchased any of these like new quads from YSL? What do you think about them? Do you have Brun? What do you think about it? I'm happy to report my girl Alicia didn't let me down. I am super happy with my purchase and I can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. As usual, thank you so very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!